Before we get started, make sure you click on the subscribe button and the alert button to make sure that you're up to date on both the past and the present.
What the muck is going on? What's up? It's your boy Enigma back with another past and present review episode, and we're going to talk about Industry Season 4. And a lot of mucked up stuff happened throughout this season. I just like Henry Muck's name. It's just not a typical name, Muck. Or maybe it is back in the other side of the world. But anyways, so when this show had its third season, and I presume the third and final season, it wrapped up everything nicely in a bow. It was perfect. You know, Eric got his payoff, but he lost the company. Harper, basically, she's still her professional. She's still moving up in the ranks in the professional world, which she wanted to. You know, being a person who didn't come from privilege and things like that, she built herself up and made her name for herself. She was like in the youngest business, top 25 youngest upcoming business women or something like that. And then we had Yasmin, who got married to Henry Muck. And so everything kind of wrapped up, and I figured that was it. Then it was announced that there was going to be a season 4 of Industry. And I'm like, why? That literally wrapped up everything. There was no reason to come back for yet another season, but they did. Okay. Now, keep in mind, this show came to me while I was looking for something like Billions. I think it was around the COVID era, or maybe the year after COVID when I started watching this show. They were like, this is similar to Billions, and first and foremost, it is not close to Billions. I love Billions, and the industry is not bad, but it is not Billions. It's a different thing. Now, the one thing I did like about the show is we were able to see these characters from kids going into Pierpoint, trying to get accepted into there, working for the company, to kind of evolving to what they actually are now. But I thought the previous season was all it needed. It did not need an additional season. I thought they wrapped it up perfectly, because I don't think that the show writers or producers thought that they were getting another season. So they kind of shot it as if it was the final season. But lo and behold, here we are with season 4. So overall, just to give you a quick overall view of my thoughts on the season 4, it was interesting. It was fun. We actually had a real villain in Whitney, who is the main character who's running this company, Tinder, which is the main storyline is behind. And Tinder is this company that's basically a fraudulent company. They've basically doctored numbers, pushed the stock numbers up, and Harper is working with a company that makes money on shortage. So basically, for those who don't know, if you short a stock, you think it's going to go down. And typically, you know, a stock, when it goes down, they actually get value out of that. So pretty much that's what they were doing the entire season, just really going back and forth with this company. And Whitney is kind of like the guy running everything in the background. He got rid of old Harold and Kumar guy, Kumar. I forgot what his name was. He was only in like a couple of episodes, but so he got rid of Kumar, who was basically the CEO or COO. I forget the exact title, but got rid of him. He needed somebody that he needed to bring in that he can kind of pull the strings. And here we go with our boy Henry Muck, who is still trying to recover from the company he was with before. And he's also got a whole bunch of other issues that he's dealing with, as him and Yasmin's marriage is in the toilet. Our boy Eric, he retired. Like I said, previous season, he has money, but he's one of those people that has to be in the game. Harper has her company going, and so they want to basically do their own company and basically work on a lot of these shortages. Harper is trying to prove that Tinder was a fraudulent company in order to drive the price down. She does all of her little dirty tactics and everything she can to get that to happen. But of course, that's on the opposite end of Yasmin, who basically has her husband now as the man running it, and she doesn't want it until she does. So the season is basically a back and forth between that. Just to kind of sum it up, because like I said, I'm not going to go point by point. I like that they finally had a figure who is the overall villain. So going back to Billions, all the characters in Billions were pretty much awful people, but you just kind of root for the less awful person. That's similar. I guess that's why they said this is kind of the same thing, because, even that in Succession too, like, a lot of bad people. Anytime you surround things about wealth and money, everything is all about, bad people. The industry is no different. And so in the industry, basically you have all these characters, you just pick a side on who you're going with. Yasmin and Harper have been against each other for a long time, and then they're best friends, and their on again, off again relationship is very comical in my opinion, but it is what it is. Like, the stuff that they've done to each other, I really don't see how they keep recovering from that, because Lord knows I wouldn't do it, in a situation like that. But, when you're chasing money, powerful people, maybe that's how they live. It's just not me. Regardless. So this season, I think, just in my opinion, this is a Yasmin season. Harper made some, very different changes in the final episode, which I just watched not too long ago. Harper is more trying to get the relationship. She's trying to change her ways to being that lone wolf to really being in a relationship with your boy. I think his name was Sam from Ted Lasso. Sam got big. I don't know if he's gonna be big on Ted Lasso if he's coming back. But anyways, if that's the same guy, I swear that's the same guy. I could be wrong. But anyways, she's trying to do the relationship thing. Her mother died in the season, allegedly or apparently running to catch an Amazon package, which is, and they kind of glossed over it. But she's really trying. So she had a great character arc, but Yasmin is a survivor. You know what I'm saying? Like, when she lost all her money with her father and all the stuff that happened, she latched on to Henry Muck, who was an idiot. The funny thing is, Lord Commander Snow is just as dumb as he is in Game of Thrones as he is in this show. He still doesn't know anything. And that's the problem. And that's how he gets in trouble, letting Whitney kind of pull the strings until it's too late. And because he's in the position that he's in, he basically gets indicted for it. This dude just never knows anything. But does he get any repercussions from it or any issues from it? No. I mean, at the end, he's sitting there fishing and having a ball, showing that the top 1% or the rich folks really never get any repercussions for things that they do. And that's the whole point behind it. Yes, it was one of those things that was driving him insane, but they have different problems. And I'll talk about that here in a second. But back to Yasmin, I think she's just a survivor. She's the one that I'm rooting for, because all the stuff that keeps going on with her, she just keeps reinventing herself. She went from last season, losing her father, losing all the money for all the lawsuits and all the stuff that was going on with that. Then she reinvents herself. Now she's Henry Muck's wife. She's throwing illustrious parties and trying to keep that together. But Henry's on the bench. He's drunk. There's a whole episode dedicated to Henry. It was his 40th birthday, and I guess he lived longer than what his father did. His father killed himself on his 40th birthday or something. And they had the episode where there's somebody that he's hanging with, and I automatically knew that this is what it was. This was somebody who died, and turns out it was his father. But every time it's just a cliche to keep doing that type of episode where they're always talking with somebody, hanging with somebody, but you don't really see them, interact like a normal people. It's clearly somebody who's just like a ghost in the past that they're just kind of reminiscing on or whatever. But, she's trying to keep all that together. Then the opportunity comes up for the company, Tinder, and Yaz kind of hooks him up with that. So really, she's the one that got him involved, but, she didn't suspect everything that was coming on. Whitney is just like this dude who is pulling the strings. He owes a lot of people money. He's vicious with what he's doing, and he knows the company. He's just trying to hold on to get past the audits and things like that, and also flirt a little bit with Jon Snow. And so, and Harper too, because he met Harper at a party and ends up hooking up with her. It just, there's a lot going on with these characters. Some of the other characters came back. Arishi, he came back. He really didn't have much to do with the main plot. He was there when one of the reporter guys got killed, and he tried to run, and he jumps off the balcony and survives. And he just kind of went away after that. I don't know what was. I mean, I guess they want to give us an update on what some of these people went through, but I mean, we didn't get nothing on Robert. Last, I think he was going to the U.S. We didn't see anything about him. The other black guy from the previous season, the one who was hooking up with that billionaire son, we didn't see nothing about him. So there's a lot of characters that just kind of disappeared, or they came back this season. They were just in there briefly. Sweet Pea came back. She's part of Harper's team now. She had a close encounter. She went to Africa. She was investigating the whole Tinder thing and finding out stuff she wasn't supposed to. Got threatened, but still, she came through like a boss. I like Sweet Pea. That's my girl. But yeah, Yasmin just, and then by the end of the season, she seems like she's a political pimp at this point. And what I mean by that is she's hooking up with this one girl, and I can't think of her name, but so back it up a bit. Her and Henry have been going through their little marital issues or whatever. And they had this one girl who was trying to be an assistant or was going to be an assistant. And she basically allows her to sleep with Henry while she watches. So it's kind of like a little power trip, give Henry some pleasure, but also showing the power and all that. Well, it was all recorded because Whitney, or it's allegedly recorded. At the end, they said that there's no tape, but I find that hard to believe. And, at the end of the season, she's working with her really just to set up these political figures or these powerful people with these women. And it just seems like she's just reinvented herself once again, without Henry now, because she got a divorce from him. At the end, tells him that she doesn't love him anymore due to the fact that, he's been arrested and he's about to lose all his money and all this type of trouble. And she's the one that sold him out, by the way, which I thought was just a brilliant piece of show. This is what Yasmin does. She is a survivor. She knew that there was no good way that this was going to last. She knew that he was going down, and she decided to get out while she could. Tells him she doesn't love him anymore. She claims she did. I don't know if that's true. I think with Yaz, it's always a survivor mentality. She saw the ship was sinking and jumped out and just left Henry at his deepest point. And that's just who she is. It's why she's my favorite character, because there's just so many layers of her personality and her, her righteousness to be a survivor that continually makes it such a great watch. Harper, she's good too, but Harper is really about, the money and things like that. But Harper truly does care about Yasmin. And I don't know why, because like I said, they just keep bumping heads all the time, and they bumped heads at the end of this season. Harper's trying to pull her from a place that she knows is a dark place, but Yasmin is content on being what she is, and she's a survivor now. She has connections, and she's going to continue to use her power for that, it seems. I don't know if this is going to have another season, but I'm assuming that's where that's going to go. And so you really get to see Yasmin. I mean, one of the final things that we see in the season is just her replaying her father's voicemail over and over again. It's still one of those things that just bothers her. And she's just a compelling character. I like Yasmin. I just love everything about her. I think she is definitely took the cake this season. Harper, that's my girl too, but Harper, she really, I think Harper works better. And this is just while watching this show from all the seasons. Her and Eric's dynamic is perfect. And so Eric came back, they started a business together, and Whitney is basically, he's being pushed into a corner. So what they do is there's a girl that Eric was sleeping with that was underage, and they threatened him with it. Now, Eric, being a soldier, he didn't back down. He went there, did his interview. He didn't back down. He still was holding tight with things, which was cool, but he left. And I didn't like that. I did not like that Eric left for the final 2 episodes. I thought Eric he's one of my favorite characters too. Like him and Harper, when they're together, even if they're fighting each other, opposing each other, whatever it is, they're brilliant together. Separate, not so much. And I think that really affected Harper too, especially at this final episode where she found out about the video, and she's putting 2 and 2 together now, realizing that this is probably the reason that he left in the first place, because he left the company. He just said he's going to be a liability, just put my $10 million into a trust fund for my daughter, and that he wouldn't say anything else after that. Harper was heartbroken, because that's her mentor. And like I said, they work so well together. So the fact that he left and was forced out, and he got one of these closing credit episodes where it's just showing him walking away. So I was like, man, they must really are not bringing this character back. And it's sad because I really do enjoy him and Harper's dynamic. But storyline purposes, it made sense. If they have another season, I hope he comes back. But we don't know. As far as Whitney's fate, we don't know. He was the COO, or they're trying to blame everything on him. And what they're doing is, with Henry Muck basically doing a plea deal so he can avoid jail time and basically trying to rat on Whitney. Well, at that point, Whitney's just gone. Whitney tried to run with him. This little awkward thing between him and Muck the entire season, it was just kind of weird. And so he thought that Henry would run with him, but Henry didn't want to run with him. Henry's like, I'm not going to do that. I'd rather face justice. And they get into an argument. He leaves. Whitney's gone now, the main bad guy. I mean, he was basically pulling the strings throughout this entire season. And it's finally good to see an antagonist on the show that you could root against and still feel good about it. You know what I'm saying? So he was a compelling bad guy. He did things. He was very calculated and cool with what he did. And it was like the third from the last episode. That's when he kind of broke down and started doing things, including the leverage over Eric and just, really putting Muck into it. And Yasmin found out and figured out that, they had no way of getting out of this. The dude is just diabolical, and I enjoyed his character, but he's on the run. He was, I guess, associated with some Russians that were trying to really push him to do whatever it is they wanted to do. They were trying to, continue to keep things going, and he tried to run. They caught him, told him to go back, but I guess he got away this time. At least that's what the show makes us believe. So, and then here we are. Overall, I enjoyed the season. I thought it was great to see these characters, to see what happened after the quote unquote series finale, because it was a series finale. Don't let them tell you it wasn't. That last season was a series finale. It literally closed every loop. It literally did everything to close the show to where it was satisfying. Now, let's say this show gets canceled next season. You left strings. Okay? So I'm hoping it has at least one more season, because clearly they know how to wrap things up so it's satisfying. They did it last season because they didn't think they were coming back, and they got this next season. So hopefully they have one more season, because you still have some things you want to see. Is Harper capable of sustaining relationships and leaving that lone wolf lifestyle behind? She's evolved this season, and, they show that she's still moving towards that. And so if she does, great job, but is it sustainable? That's a hard thing to change. So I would be interested in seeing that. Is Yasmin going to continue to be a political pimp, with this new quote unquote business that she's running, or whatever she's doing right now? It's just Yasmin is just trying to fit into a world where she belongs. And I want to see just like Harper, I don't think that's her. Harper told her such, like, this isn't you. The things that you're doing, this isn't right. And it's bad when Harper's trying to tell you, because Harper's done some dirty things throughout this entire series. So when she's kind of like, this is ridiculous, especially with the underage girl, because the underage girl was still at that final dinner party. And Harper tried to get her out of there, and then they kind of, punked her out, which is, un-Harper like. But it's very intriguing to see where that's going to last and how far that Yasmin is willing to go. Will Eric come back? Is Eric just completely gone? Because that video's out there. They sent it to him to threaten him, and he just kind of left. And, is he just like, I'm done with it? Because if I was him, I would be. Now, I took it that he didn't, initially I took it that he didn't know the girl was underage that he was hooking up with. Now, he knew that, the line of business she was in, she was essentially a working girl. So he knew that. But I don't think he knew that she was underage. But then Yasmin says at the end that he knew that she was underage. So that's where we're at with that. So, will they bring him back? I don't know. Have we seen the last of Henry Muck? Probably. I mean, his ending reminds me sort of like a Robert ending. We're not going to see Robert again because there's no sense of bringing Robert back. I think Henry Muck is gone. I think the storyline is past, but we'll have to see where it goes from there. But other than that, I mean, it was a good season. Like I said, I would have liked to have seen a little more of Harper this season, Harper and Eric. I think we got the dynamic duo back, but then they were kind of just as quickly as they got together, they were gone. And, it's only 8 episodes, so it's kind of I missed the traditional 10 to 13 episodes. You notice how TV's gone? The hour-long episodes used to be 13 in a season. Then they dropped it down to 10. Now they got us down to 8. And I've seen some shows that hit it up at 6. It's getting to the point where they're doing less and less. I understand budget and all that is required. You got to pay people per episode now. And, when you're working with a budget, you can only do so much. So I get all that. But anyways, I think Industry came back. It surprised me. It's a show it can get a little boring at times when you start talking about the whole political thing in the background and all that type of stuff. But the drama that it has, the characters that it's developed, I think it's still a great show. I enjoyed it. What are your thoughts? Have you watched the entire 4th season? Did you think it was coming back? Did you think the last season was kind of the last one like I did? As always, leave your thoughts and comments below. And if you want to check out any of my creative work, you can hit me up at www.enigmakid.com. That's www.enigmakid.com. It's your boy Enigma signing off. Deuces.